we go.
Alright, you grab your laptops and log into Schoology. Just make sure you got a 10B page. Is there anybody that doesn't have a 10B page?
Yep, is there somewhere I could put my Chromebook?
What's that?
Is there somewhere I could charge my Chromebook?
You could sit at that table there and just plug into that strip if you want.
Alright, so probably like your 10A class, right? Of whether you had Mrs. Schultz or Miss Bussey. I think those are the two that had 10A. Right? The first two tries. Right? They would have a calendar at the top, something like this. Right? So that's where you can kind of refer to what we're doing each and every day, especially if you are gone. Right? So it is set up for the whole trimester, right? That's what we're doing, when things are due, and so forth, right? So, first and foremost, let's go through the syllabus. Those fun things that you get to do on the first day of class. I'm sure you guys get to do this 5 times today. Total blast. My contact hours, if you need to get a hold of me, with you guys having a first hour, it's pretty easy. You can just come in early. I'm always here by 7:45 at the absolute latest. Right? My prep period is 5th hour. You can always come in during advisory if you need extra help as well, which kind of works well because once again, you guys have a first hour. So you can always just stay. I can contact your advisor and just say that you're staying to work. Okay? Or after school, right? I will be available after school once spring break is done, right? Because I coach hockey, so I take off right away after school every single day, right? The learning goal for 10B is to study a combination of writing, research, right? Grammar. We'll do a little bit of grammar skills just like you did in 10A, and media literacy skills. So learning about how to research, what to research, and what is credible to take away. And so that's just kind of building on what you did at 9A, 9B, and 10A. Okay? Objectives, 3 objectives that we have is to become an effective communicator in both written and oral expression. You are going to give a speech in this class. Okay? That we'll talk about later on down the road, but you have to give the speech in order to pass the class. That speech will be on your research paper topic. To locate and use information and reference materials, specifically databases, and to critically analyze information found in electronic and print media. In other words, you're going to be able to tell us as to why something is credible over something else. And those are skills that should be built on from what you learned in 9th grade and 10A. Okay? The course content. The major portion of the course is working with the research paper. And I believe it is about 8 weeks that we work with the research paper from beginning to end. Okay, it's like through the speech. Okay. You will give a speech, like I talked about. We're going to read the book Elie Wiesel's Night. It's about he and his family living through the Holocaust, okay, experiencing the Holocaust. So it's a memoir, first-person account of it. Like I mentioned before, we'll do some grammar. And we'll do some test prep, because in 10th grade, you get to take the MCA reading test, right? So we'll deal with that later on down the road. Materials needed every single day. Just make sure you have a laptop with you. Okay, that shouldn't be a shock. Pretty much everybody is completely online, right? Cheating and plagiarism. This should be the same as what you had in your 10A class. If you found guilty of plagiarizing or cheating, you'll earn a 0 for the assignment, but will also be required to redo the assignment. Okay? The student may also be removed from the course with a grade of F. Okay? If you plagiarize your research paper, you will be removed from the class with a grade of F. Okay? In my 24 years of teaching here, and pretty much every year I've taught this course, I've never had to give that option to somebody. Okay? Now, might you accidentally plagiarize a quote here or there or a sentence or two in your paper? Sure. But are you lifting the entire paper? No. Okay? So we're not that harsh with it, but just kind of keep that in mind. Right? We talked about the class agenda and assignments. Due date policy, this is nothing new. Right? It's an English department policy. Right? Everything for 100% is due on the date. Right? For full credit, if it's 1 day late, 50% taken off. 2 or more days late, 10% for each additional day. So after 5 days of being late, do you really even have to hand in the assignment? Nope. Right? It's no longer worth credit. Right? Major assignments will be handled at the teacher's discretion. The big thing there is that the research paper, if you're 1 day late with the paper is worth 250 total points. If you're 1 day late with the paper, it's automatically 50% off. It's 125 points off. Right? But should that be a real problem when we've been working with it for 7 weeks, 8 weeks? Shouldn't be. And you should be on top of it. We're gonna see plenty of red flags along the way if you're starting to fall behind. So hopefully we can catch that, right? The number of people that are late with their paper is very few. I mean, over the course of the whole entire academic year, right, from 10th graders. It just doesn't happen very often. So don't be too worried about that. Missing work. Big thing with missing work is I do not follow you around the school and ask you to turn your work in. Okay? You can see it on Schoology if it's missing, if you haven't submitted it yet. You can see on your campus if it wasn't submitted yet. Okay? So I really don't worry about that. There's so much electronics out there. It's incredible, right? To keep you up to date. Vocab, right? Vocab, the big thing for you guys since you're in person is I'm going to give you the words on the first day of the week. We're going to quiz on the last day of the week. Okay? So usually that's Monday and Friday. This week will be Tuesday and Friday. On Thursday, we'll play Kahoot or Quizlet Live, whatever works for you guys. Do I require you to play it? Nope. If you want to do something else while we're doing that, so be it. Okay? We'll pick one of those to play on Thursday as a way to kind of review your words. Essentially what I do is I go through the words with you on Monday. You're on your own for the rest of the time. Okay? And what I'll do is I'll do that for the first couple of weeks of go through the words. And then after that, the words are on your own. So like in 9A, 9B, 10A, we kind of hold your hand going through it, do like little activities through the week. At 10B, we start to kind of wean you off that. Because in Explorations and Lit and Advanced Comp, if you take those courses as a junior or senior, the vocab is kind of on your own. It's self-paced. Okay? Now, you guys love the quizzes. They'll be completed during class on Friday, right, or Thursday. Right? If we have a 3-day week or less, which I don't think we do in Tri-3, we do not have vocab. Right? But we're going to do at least 3 weeks here before spring break. So there's 8 weeks of it. Right? For the virtual students, they're not going to take the vocab quiz. Right? What they're going to have to do is they're going to have to write vocab stories. So they're going to have to use the 10 words in sentences and tell me a story using it. So, which is easier to do? The quiz or the story? The quiz. Okay? And the main reason behind that is because it reduces the amount of cheating. Okay? By the way, that sound is the thermostat. You'll get used to that. It just kind of goes off every once in a while. The room's not going to blow up or anything. Okay? Students are caught cheating, taking the quiz. will receive a 0 for the vocab score. Okay, I do not drop a vocab score. Okay? I do not drop your lowest vocab. Okay, you get your 8 scores, and that's what it is. Okay. Virtual learning for the virtual learners, they can look at that. You guys here, you don't really have to worry about it. The biggest thing is that I really don't see a difference between in-person learning and virtual learning. Okay. I think that you guys have it easier because you're right here. You can ask questions. We stay on top of things. The people that are virtual learning, so be it. They have their reasons for doing it, but they have to follow the due dates and everything just like you guys do. Okay. So they don't get like extra time or anything like that. So in case you hear things out there in that regards, that's totally false. Okay. They have to meet every single due date. If something's due at noon, they have to have it in by noon. If they tell me that they were working and they couldn't hand it in, it's late. So be it. Okay. The grading scale, right? Pretty cut and dried, 90, 80, 70, 60. Pretty much the same for every course across the board. But something to keep in mind, now that you have already registered for classes for next year, if you register to take advanced comp, okay? If you register to take advanced comp, you have to earn a B or higher in this course in order to take it as a junior. So keep that in mind. Okay? For those that are thinking down the road of taking college English as a senior, right? So your overall grade, not just a grade on the paper, but your overall grade for the course has to be a B or higher. Otherwise, you do not meet that requirement to take advanced comp. Right? Does that mean you can't take advanced comp as a senior? No. It just means you can't take it as a junior. Right? Questions with anything on the syllabus? Nope. Okay. So let's run through vocab for this week. The survey knows where everything is at. So it's down towards the bottom. Right? So what I do is I put in all the presentations, the word list, so you can just take it 1 week at a time. Okay? The tests, the quizzes will be down there. The links for Quizlet and Kahoot. So everything you need is underneath that one folder. Okay. So let's pop in here. Alright, so week 1, there's just going to be 10 words in there. Okay. So bureaucracy, if we break down the crassy, the root word has to do with power. Okay, so anytime you have the root word crassy in it, it has to do with power. So bureaucracy is a group of non-elected government officials. Right? So if they're non-elected, what does that tell you?
They're appointed.
They're appointed. Very good. Okay? And sometimes they appoint themselves. Right? Sometimes the bureaucracy doesn't work that great. Okay? What type of a crassy do we have here in the United States? Democracy. Okay? So demo means people, so it's elected by the people, is what democracy is. Okay? Pedometer. Okay? A lot of people use pedometers now. They have them on their Apple Watch. You can put them on your phone. Okay? If you want to keep track of your steps, I can get my 10,000 steps. For you guys, it's not that big of a deal. As you get older, it's a little bit bigger of a deal. Okay? But pedometer it's the distance traveled by foot. Right? Number of steps taken. Okay? Because ped means foot. Urbanism. Urb means city. Okay? So it's the life and characteristics of the cities and town. Right? It's probably a little bit more elite, right? A little bit more in the know style of living. Where rurus, the root word there, like rustic, has to do with more country style living. Okay, so people that are a little bit more open with it, more free with it. So that's kind of the difference with it between those two. Obtrusive, so Russ there is rural. Okay, so obtrusive is a intrusive way. okay? That they're very forward, they're prominent in an unwelcome or intrusive way, okay? So obtrusive is almost like being rude, that they don't care, right? That they almost like don't have any morals with it. Right? Kleptomania, mania means an addiction, and kleptomania means that you like to grab, okay, or steal. Okay? So synonym to that, a kleptomaniac is a person who likes to steal, would be a thief. Benevolence, Ben or Benny means good and well. Okay? So benevolence is the act of being kind, essentially. Right? Being a humanitarian, being compassionate, right, is benevolence. Malignant. Malignant is very virulent, okay? So virus containing or infectious, right? The opposite of malignant, we hear this a lot with cancer diagnosis, the opposite of malignant is benign, right? So which cancer would you rather have, malignant or benign? Benign, right? Synchronous. Synchronous, syn, S-Y-N means together, chron means time, right? So synchronous, if you put it all together, it means it's occurring at the same time. Right? Anthropology. Ology is the study of, and anthrop is human or man. Right? So it's the study of human societies and cultures, is anthropology. Okay, so how people live. Disestablishment. Mint is act or result. Okay? So disestablishment, if you're taking away the establishment, you're essentially tearing it down. Right? You're terminating that establishment. And that's it. Hi. You can, yeah, wherever you want.
Excuse me.
No problem. Okay, so questions to any of those? 10 vocab words? Alright, perfect. So, let's get into the major portion of the course. So let's go under research paper. And as you can see, there's plenty of subfolders there, since we're going to be dealing with this for many weeks. Right? So let's go underneath the introduction and the paper requirements. Right? So the topic for your research paper is where you're going to select a current situation in society. So something that's going on in our daily lives, and I want you to show the cause and effects as to why it's happening and its impact on society. So in other words, why are we concerned about it? How is it almost changing our lives? Whether that be good or whether that be bad. Okay? So there has to be something about your topic that when it came about, that as a society, we made a shift. And we decided to live our lives in a different way. Well, like I said, that'd be positive or negative. Right? And I will go through it. I will give you a list of topics that we believe work, that are researchable, okay? And that will have you be successful with the paper. Now, the requirements of the paper. It's 4 to 6 typed, double spaced, Times New Roman 12-point font. So that means you have at least one complete sentence on the 4th page. Right? So if you want to look at it, if you're looking at completed pages, it's 3 to 5. Right? So it's not terribly long, but it's also not just a 5-paragraph essay that you've probably been used to before. You have to find at least 7 sources on your topic, and that can be from a variety of different places. We're mainly going to be electronic sources, so whether you're searching off of Google, whether you're searching off of the databases that we'll talk about, but you have to have at least 7 articles on your topic. Right? By the way, you cannot use procon.org and you cannot use encyclopedia. So Wikipedia, anything that has a pedia in it, right? As one of your 7 sources. Now, we're not saying that you can't go there for a reference, but we just can't use it as one of our 7 documented sources, okay? Why would you not want to use an encyclopedia reference?
Isn't Wikipedia like opinionated and anybody can change it?
Okay, yep. Wiki on that one means that anybody can go on there and change it, so we don't know if it's very credible. But is Wikipedia kind of good place to start?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's great, right? The great thing about Wikipedia, we'll talk about this as we go along, Wikipedia breaks down its topic, and on the side, it's got hyperlinks there, okay? But we just can't trust it, because anybody can go in there and change it. Yep, or-
What about stuff like for Canada, like encyclopedia?
Perfect. So the other encyclopedias, so like if I wanted to look up something on Sweden, how much is the encyclopedia going to devote to Sweden? How many pages do you think?
No, probably not that much.
Probably not that much. So from a depth standpoint, how far in depth does an encyclopedia go? Is it a little or a lot? A little, okay? So what encyclopedias do is that they usually give you a general overview, right, of the topic, and then you go find it more in depth somewhere else. So, I mean, like, the Encyclopedia Britannica, like you're mentioning, does it mean that I can't even go there and read it? No, it's a good place to start. It gives us a base, but we don't want to rely on that as one of our 7 major sources, okay? All right. 7 sources must be listed on the working sources list, and a lot of these terms are not going to make sense for you right now, but that's where we're going to pick those up as we go along, right? 4 sources must be documented within your paper. You're going to use proper paraphrasing, so we're going to talk about how to paraphrase. Hopefully you should have worked with that in 10A, okay? So we'll actually make note cards and noodle tools. We'll talk about how to paraphrase and the difference from a direct quote. Speaking of direct quotes, you're going to have at least 2 of those in your paper. Then we're going to follow the writing process where we're going to research. We're going to make note cards and noodle tools. Okay, we're going to have a rough draft and a final draft. And we'll talk about how to edit our rough drafts. That we will have peer editing. I'll put you in groups of like 3. And I will have an editing sheet for you. It's 2 pages long. And literally it'll take you a full hour to edit 1 paper. Okay, so that we'll go through it step by step. That's what we need to have in it. Okay? Formal standard English. So we'll talk about the difference between formal and informal English. So we're staying away from that. And then we'll talk about the correct page format and what a works cited page is and that it's done according to form. Okay? Because a lot of times people get confused between a works cited page and a bibliography. And we'll talk about how they are similar, but yet they are different. Okay? Questions with any of those requirements? Okay. So, let's go look at some topics. Now, I don't want you to sign up for the topics today. Right? What I'm going to do is after I go through them all, is I'm going to give you the rest of the hour to just kind of cruise around, look out there on Google or wherever, maybe Wikipedia, if your topic is on Wikipedia, and see what's out there. And see if the topic interests you to work with it between now and the beginning of May. Okay? That's the big key. So, usually the best thing is, do I want to take a topic that I know a lot about or a little about?
A little.
A little. Very good. Because I want to be interested in it. I want to learn from it as I go along. Right? So something that you've maybe heard a little about, right? That sounds unique, intriguing, interesting, and go after that. Right? Then what we'll do when you come in tomorrow is I will randomly select your names. And whoever's name comes up first, I'm going to ask you, what do you want for a topic? And then we're just going to go boom, 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 boom. Okay, so I want you to have a couple different topics with you tomorrow that you might be interested in, right? And the in-person people get to select their topics before the virtual people. Okay, so that's the advantage of you guys being here. You get to select it. There's only one topic per class hour. We don't want to repeat topics. Okay, so adoption is a topic that's out there. Okay, about how it works, like with foster homes and such, and the different rules, even to like different countries with rules, the advantages and almost also the disadvantages, the troubles that are out there with adoption processes. Okay, alternative energy, pretty wide ranging, and then what we're going to see with a lot of these topics is they're pretty broad. And then as we go about our research and we get closer to writing the paper, that we're going to narrow that topic down, because that's part of the research process as well. So alternative energy, like what are there out there that are alternative energy?
Solar,
Solar is one,
nuclear,
nuclear,
Wind.
wind, water, okay? There's a bunch of different ones, okay? Alzheimer's disease, okay, the research that is going on there, right? Anxiety, the border wall, right? So it's the border wall with which country?
Mexico.
Mexico, yep. Capital punishment, child beauty pageants, what's the show called? Toddlers and Tiaras?
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Right. Cloning, CTE in athletics, concussions, cybersecurity, right? And like I said, these are pretty broad topics. Depression, designer babies, where the people get to pick like the chromosomes. So you get to kind of almost play like God. And if you want your child to be a certain gender, certain eye color, certain hair color, right? Digital learning and education, kind of a big topic. Distracted driving, e-cigarettes and vaping products, endangered species. So you would need to look at one species that's out there that's endangered. You wouldn't be looking at like 4 different ones, right? So you'd have to find one and go in depth on that one. Factory farming. Factory farming is where it's big businesses coming in and taking over the family farm, right? And they're doing things at an industrial size level. Gender identity, harassment, right? Harassment could go in a variety of different ways. Human trafficking, right? Identity theft, medical marijuana legalization, which is being talked about in the Minnesota House and Senate right now. Obesity and eating disorders, ocean pollution, plastic being a big one there, but there are others. The opioid crisis, organ transplant, organic eating, outsourcing. What's outsourcing?
Like producing goods in like other countries.
Bingo, very good. Yep. So why do they outsource it? Because it is cheaper. Yep, labor is a lot cheaper. Taxes. Body cameras on police officers. School lunch nutritional requirements. And it's not just having a paper plate and a spork like you guys have to have now. Right? Self-driving cars becoming more and more popular, or you see more and more of it in the news, and as to how far off it they actually are. Service and emotional support animals, sex education in schools, sleep disorders, social media, very broad, right? Space exploration, vaccinations in the 21st century. Are vaccinations kind of in the news right now? Yeah, kind of, right? Welfare programs, and then youth sports, right? So what you need to do is you're going to go out and you're going to look at a few of these topics. And you want to figure out, A, how is this when this topic came about, where were we at as society? And then B, where are we currently with this topic in our society? How have we changed? And C, where are we going to go? Right? Ultimately, that's our goal for this paper, is to figure that out as to how your topic has made us change our lives for the good or for the bad. Okay? See? Questions with it? Okay. So for the last half an hour or so, you can just look around. Like I said, you can go to Wikipedia, you can just go to Google, type some stuff in. You're just kind of browsing to see what's out there, right? Maybe grab a topic that you don't know a lot about and just kind of learn about it. Just real quick. It's kind of like the Cliff Notes version, Spark Notes version of it. A general overview. And to see, is that kind of interesting? How does it affect our society? And would I want to work that? What I would do is maybe have like a top 3 of topics when you come in here tomorrow. Okay? Questions then? Okay. So last part of the hour is just yours cruising around, trying to figure out 3 topics. If you do have questions, either come up and ask me, raise your hand, or whatever. Or just blurt it out. Either or. Okay.